Hi everyone, welcome to episode 10 of Opinions on Popular or Hyped Fragrances. I have to admit, not everything on the list I'm going to talk about today is hyped or popular. Some of these I really just wanted to sample and I snuck them into this video. Hope that you're interested in them. I'm going to share with you my opinions on 20 fragrances that I have sampled. If you want to get right into the fragrances, jump to this time marker. If you're newer to my channel, stick around for the quick disclaimer about sampling. So folks, when you sample fragrances, you really don't get a full-on picture of what the perfume smells like unless you order like a 5 ml or a 10 ml decant or a travel spray, that type of thing, of a fragrance to really try out over a number of days. It can be hard to understand what a fragrance smells like from just a sample. I usually recommend getting 2 milliliter or more samples if you are just going to do a sample or a decant versus the little tiny ones that come from Lucky Scents, for example, that are dabbers that can be particularly challenging to get an accurate smell on the fragrance. Usually I like to have a spray. Sometimes I'll order from Lucky Scent or other places if that seems to be the only place that has samples or the one that is pricing them reasonably. Sometimes samples and decants can get really expensive, and you got to make some decisions about whether the trade-offs of sampling and decanting versus purchasing the full bottle are worth it. So that's individual and up to every person. So I wanted to share that. So these are really just impressions, and I'm going to share 4 categories of impressions with you. Do I think the fragrance is mass appealing, meaning would a lot of people enjoy the scent? 2, what is my impression of what the scent smells like? How would I describe it just rapidly without looking up notes or anything like that on the fragrance? 3, how do I think it performed on me? Again, based on a sample, so it's all sort of relative. And 4th, do I think it is full bottle worthy? Either would I purchase a sample or would I recommend it to someone else? So those are the 4 categories. Let's jump in then with one from Borntostandout. You may remember from a previous episode of these that I tested out Sex and Cognac, and that was not for me. That was not good at all. So this is called Drunk Saffron. I do not think that this is a mass appealing fragrance. It's very particular. It, for me, smelled like boozy leather with coffee brewing in the distance. Mostly that leather, like, gosh, when you think about boozy leather, you can think about nights out, partying, having a great time. But the smells are like in the winter if people have on their leather jackets and they're having mixed drinks and that sort of thing. But there's a coffee brewing in the background behind this. And there was, for me, a little bit of spice on the surface of the fragrance. I didn't find this to be a deeply spicy fragrance. I think that this was moderate all around in terms of the performance. And in terms of a full bottle, I would say this is a great pickup for someone that doesn't have a fragrance like this in their collection. Remember, you got to like the booziness, leather, and a little bit of coffee, a touch of spice. So I don't think we would get a bottle like that here in either for myself or for my husband, because we have a lot of other fragrances that fit the bill for that. But if you're in the neighborhood for that type of fragrance, this might be a fun one to try out. And the bottles are pretty interesting looking. Then I go to an old school one. This isn't new. I would say maybe it's had some hype on YouTube here and there. This is by Lorenzo Villoresi, Firenze. How did I do? Teint, Neige, which is touted as one of the most iconic sort of powdery fragrances in perfumery. I do not think this is mass appealing because of what it is. This is a very particular type of smell. For me, this was an immediate powder bomb, like in your face, dry baby powder puffed into your face with plastic diaper coming right behind that, that baby powder type of smell. I know a lot of people love this, and I do have some powdery fragrances that I really enjoy. I will say that it's a scent profile that I have to be in the mood for and have moved away from a little bit here over the past year or two because it is so particular and because some people actually really dislike when other people smell like powder bombs. So I'm trying to be a little bit sensitive to that. I do like a nice powdery fragrance. Again, you have to be in the mood for that sort of thing. And I will say that I heard more recently from a number of reviewers that Al Haramain's Genoun Parfum may be a dupe for Teint, Neige. They smell very, very similar. I will say that. I'm going to end up putting this on Mercari. And if you want to know why, check out the most recent video that I did on dupes. It looks like this, the thumbnail, and I'll link it below if you're interested. And this will be on Mercari. My Mercari link is below if you want to check out what I have up for sale. So I found Teint, Neige to be moderate to long lasting all around. The performance wasn't a problem at all. But for me, this is a no, because like I said, I'm moving away from powdery scents, and I do have some that I enjoy, and I'm good with those, if that makes sense. So for those of you that are newcomers and want to try a classic powdery fragrance, Teint, Neige is probably one to try out. So next we go to one from Cartier, and I may say this incorrectly, but I'm going to pronounce it Carat. I'm sure there's someone out there that's going to say some other pronunciation. I don't know. It's okay. Let's just call it Carat, okay, for now. I think this is maybe in terms of being mass appealing. I did find this to be unique. Here's my description of this. And by the way, I've been more interested in trying out Cartier fragrances. In fact, there are a few I've tried out for this series and just haven't talked about because I wasn't sure if people would be interested in them or not. I do have Le Baiser du Dragon. I think it's how you say that. And I believe one other Cartier somewhere in my collection. Oh my God, I have Baiser Volé or Baiser Volé. Forgive me on the pronunciations. I try. This one is unique. I found this to be like a bag of plastic dinosaurs or soldiers is what I have in my notes here. Like you think about, did y'all ever go on long road trips and your parents bought you like a dollar store bag of cheaper plastic toys like little fighting men or little dinosaurs or something like that to keep you occupied in the car or in the hotel room as you were getting ready to go out or whatever? That when you open that bag, that's the scent I got. That's what I got. So, and then also something like plum and something camphorous in the background. I got essential herbal oils dropping on warm metal. And for me, unfortunately, this turned unbearable in the dry down. I really disliked this. I cannot comment on the longevity of this because I ended up washing this off pretty quickly. I would not be interested in a bottle of this, nor would I advise others to look at this. However, as I always say, a difference of opinion is welcome. If you've tried this fragrance or if you own it and you love it, please drop it in the comments so that our friends here can get a different perspective from someone who actually owns a bottle. Like I said, different experience owning a bottle than sampling. Bond number 9, Soho. This is a strange bottle. I'm not sure if I actually like the bottle or if I think it's obnoxious. Maybe it's both. I don't know. I have a thing for strange, kitschy looking, gaudy things. So this is not a mass appealing fragrance. I would describe this as smelling like rice vinegar, if you've ever cooked with that. Very woody fragrance with some floral softness to it, mostly a woody fragrance. You have to enjoy that smell of like rice vinegar at the beginning of this and through the mid before it turns mostly woody with a little bit of floral touches to it. Thought this was moderately performing all around. I'm not interested in this fragrance, nor would I tell people to run out and get it because of the peculiarity of that rice vinegar aspect. But I do think, the bottle is unique. It's different. So if you like to have something that is going to be eye-catching on your shelf, maybe this is the one for you. I'll go next to Prin, P-R-I-N, and this is called Burmite Honey. I don't think this is a mass appealing fragrance at all. For me, this was like horribly animalic. I got a heavy, dark amber accord, and it struck me as truck stop bathroom. You know what I mean? Truck stop bathroom with year-old urine like caked on every surface. Have you been to a bathroom like that out of necessity? Because you don't go places like that because you enjoy it, right? It's like you have to grin and bear it and go quickly and leave that bathroom as soon as possible. That's what this reminded me of, unfortunately. The dry down is deep amber. There were more sort of aromatic notes that came out in the dry down and a lot more of that honey, but it still remained pretty stale and unfortunately stinky for me. So this was a no. I wouldn't advise anyone to get this. It's an absolute no for me for this. This is a bonus one, and I don't even want to talk about this because I'm still kind of salty. I ordered a bottle of Shalimar Millesime Tonka Millesime from overseas, from News Perfumes, I think it's called, and it shipped, and it got hung up in customs, and it never came. I worked with the online store. They did an investigation. It just never moved. I don't know what happened to that thing, but it was a hot commodity at the time because it was limited edition. There were only so many of these that were made, and that was it. If you didn't grab one, you were out of luck. So I like to think the best of people, but I wonder if it didn't actually get hung up in customs and if it just sort of disappeared in customs and someone sold it on a different market, if you know what I mean, because they could get a pretty penny for it. Really irritated by that. Now, if you watched my latest video about decluttering my vintage shelf, Guerlain Shalimar is one that I have tremendous appreciation for the iconic fragrance that it is. However, it's one that is largely unwearable for me. I have to really be in the mood for it. So much so that I decided to move it along. Beautiful fragrance in its own right. So for my Shalimar fans, just know that. But I enjoyed my sample of Tonka, the Tonka version, the Tonka Flanker. And I'm even more salty now because I really liked it. It was like Shalimar, even sweeter, not as animalic for me. And it would have been a really wearable fragrance. So I'm unhappy and I'm mad at myself that I tortured myself by actually sampling it when there's a bottle that I paid for out there in the universe somewhere in someone else's hands. It really bothers me. Let's move on. Then I come to Indult Manakara, which is a rose fragrance. It is sweet, it is bright, it's almost a fizzy rose. I found it a little bit intoxicating because I couldn't stop sniffing my hand. I really liked it a lot. And this is coming from a non-rose lover. I don't dislike rose. I have a lot of beautiful rose fragrances, but it isn't my note of choice, if you know what I mean. This fragrance was lovely though. I don't think I would purchase a full bottle of this because I personally have rose fragrances that scratch all of the rose itches that I have at the moment. However, I would say that this is definitely worth checking out. But if you want to pay indulge prices and have moderate, maybe to not the best longevity, you just got to keep that in mind. This isn't one that's going to take you through the day or anything like that, but it's a bright, happy rose that's really sweet and has a little bit of fizziness to it. I really like this. It was an enjoyable sampling experience. I'm going to go next to Andrea Mack, which is a brand that is on Twisted Lily. I'm a partner with Twisted Lily, and you can check out this range on that website and use the code Veronica10 as a discount code. Get 10% off of your purchase. I sampled the very now well-known, well-spoken about Coven. And I don't think that this is a mass appealing fragrance. And the way that it's been described by YouTubers is a lot what it smells like. I got from this fragrance a deep sort of northern woods, damp earthiness, a wetness from the fragrance that if you're into that, this might be the one for you. I didn't care for the opening. I thought the opening was funky. It was pungent. It was just too strong and rather off-putting for me. However, it dries down to a softer, woody, mossy fragrance. So if that's your jam, I love the bottle on this. I love the concept of it. And I'd like to try others from this house, even though this particular fragrance is a no for me. This was moderate to long lasting. So I don't want a bottle, but if you're into that forest, mossy, wet, earthy smell, and you can get past a little bit of a strong opening, maybe try this one out. Next, we come to Theodoros Kalotinis, which is becoming a fave indie perfumer on Instagram and also in the YouTube community. He's put out some lovely fragrances, some of which are on my shelf that I absolutely enjoy, like Tobacco Maniac. There's a sandalwood one that I absolutely adore, Coffee Addict. I mean, some beauties. This is Lemon Tart, which I was looking forward to trying. I have to admit that I sampled and purchased a full bottle of Bake from Acro before sampling this fragrance. So I'm a little spoiled in that that is a beautiful, sweet lemon fragrance that I loved it. I've talked about it in other videos. So I was expecting something in that vein. I don't think that this is a mass appealing fragrance. I will say that this is lemon for sure. It does have some sugar, but overall I found for me, from my taste, that it was a bit too sharp and way too sort of tart in the opening of the fragrance. I can see how people love this fragrance. Absolutely. I didn't dislike it. My husband couldn't stand it. And immediately when I tried it on, he was like, no, that's a big fat no. It does flatten out in the dry down to be a pleasant vanillic lemon fragrance. And it has a very distant pie baking in the oven type of vibe to it. But I would say overall, the scent lacks the character that I was looking for that I got in Acro Bake. I have a question. Oh, wait, let me finish my thing here. So it was moderate all around in performance. And no, I don't want this. But if you're into tart lemon fragrances, maybe give this one a shot. I have a question though. How many of you have tried Hufflepuff from House of Sillage? I want to know what you think. I've got my eye on that. I know it's sold out. I have my notifications set to get an alert when it comes back in stock. Let me know your thoughts on that. And if you've tried Bake, are they similar? Are they too similar? Do I need both? We don't need anything on our shelves. Let's be clear. Nobody needs perfume. Should I have both? That's the question. Then you may know that I purchased Coco Love from Jacques Zolty, which is this beautiful, creamy, almost like a whipped cream type of coconut fragrance. Really, really good. And I wanted to try more from this house. By the way, there is a rebottled version of Coco Love, I believe. I'm going to put the name up here of what I think the new one is, because I got a sample of this too, and it smells very, very similar, nearly identical to Coco Love. And maybe it's the same thing, and I'm just not picking up that they're identical. But I think a viewer here shared that it is rebottled with the new name. Nice bottle. In fact, I prefer the new bottles. Anyway, this is called Cubata. Cubata. Yes, I think this is a very mass appealing fragrance for tobacco lovers specifically. This for me was a woody, moist tobacco with spices and hints of sweetness. I found this very, very appealing. I enjoyed the sniff fest with this one. This was moderate to long lasting all around for me. And for me, if I were to choose, I would purchase this fragrance, but my husband didn't care for it. He thought it was very average. My husband's getting to be a little snooty about fragrances. We joke about this all the time, and he only wants the best of the best on his shelves. So I thought this was really lovely, but he has other fragrances that give that tobacco thing for him. His favorite is actually Tobacco Nuit from Atelier Cologne, which isn't sold anymore, I don't think. I think it's discontinued, in the white bottle with the blue label on it. Freaking gorgeous tobacco fragrance, nice, dark, earthy tobacco. And he has some other tobaccos. We have Tobacco Mystery. We have a bunch of tobaccos. I have a tobacco video. Did you know that? This is what it looks like, and I'll link it below for you also if you're interested. So big yes on this. Love the name Cubata, but that's going to end up being a no for this house, unfortunately. People, can we talk about this Sospiro Vibrato? You out there, you hype this up. I hype up fragrances too, so I'm just teasing y'all. But there's been a lot of hype about Vibrato on YouTube, on Instagram, and maybe on TikTok. I'm not on TikTok like that, so I don't know. Tell me. I think maybe in terms of this being mass appealing, but I gotta say, at least when I first sampled this on the opening, I got counter cleaner. There's different kinds of cleaners, cleaning fluids. I specifically got like a counter cleaner, and I can't remember what it's called, but it's a spray that I use that has a little bit of like a citrus oil in it or something. It gave me some of that, a little bit of powder and a little musk. I could see how people really love this. I really, really can. This was long lasting all around. And I do think it is nice. I have to say, it might be a little overhyped. You know, I am someone who has loved citrus fragrances for a long time. I'm not loving citrus as much these days. I still have a nice citrus collection that I wear, but I've tried many, many, many citruses. And I would say if you're not a citrus lover, this could be one that might be your first. This might be your first. Why did that sound weird? It might be your first citrus love, okay? And in that sense, great. I don't like these bottles. I think aren't they velvet covered? That like makes my OCD-ness go crazy. I need things, surfaces, to be clean and free of lint and such. And so, like, you know how when your sweater gets too much, gets pilly or attracts lint and things? Animal hair, I don't have animals, but I have had animals in the past. When hair gets, I can't do it. It's a no for me, that part of things. And I think these bottles look like vampires. So I think it's very nice. I think it's very nice. Not something I'm rushing out to get at this moment. And quite frankly, not something you need to rush out and get either. I think there are other beautiful citruses on the market that you can probably get for less, friends. Hope I don't eat my words and end up with a bottle of Vibrato. Then we go to Jeroboam, right? Gozo. Yes, I do think that this is a mass appealing fragrance. This for me was warm. It was cozy. I found it sweet and woody, like a sweet woody tuberose fragrance. Did it have a little bit of nuttiness? I don't remember that, but I do remember just this sort of warmth for this fragrance that I found attractive. Okay, so I can see how people really enjoy this. It reminded me, though, I have to say, of L'Interdit somewhat. How about you? Do you get that sort of same vibe like Givenchy L'Interdit with Gozo? Do you have Gozo? Are you interested in Gozo? Yeah, this was long lasting all around. It's a maybe for me. I have beautiful tuberose fragrances, some that also have warmth in them. And so I'm not rushing out for a bottle of this, but you know, if I found it on a great deal, I might be tempted to pick it up. Now, let me talk about, Veronica, get your pronunciation together. Alhambra, right? Alhambra, Eye of Seven Hills. What an awesome name. I didn't look up the story behind that, but I know one of you knows. Drop it in the comments. What is the Eye of Seven Hills? Is it a biblical reference, a mythical reference? I don't know. No, this is not a mass appealing fragrance, but this is smooth, suede-y, leathery to me, musky. It gave me the best of Rosendo number 5, Rosendo Mateo, number 5, and Side Effect from Initio. Take the best aspects of both of those that people actually enjoy, because those are two very polarizing fragrances. Lift up the parts that everybody kind of likes about them, bring them together, and you got the Eye of Seven Hills. This was beastly, long lasting. It was like, whoo, I am in the room and I will be here for a long time. I am stationed and you are not going to take me away. And would I want a full bottle of this? Yes. I found this smooth. It was slightly masculine, so keep that in mind. This is not a girly fragrance, but this was like that super sexy leather, that Eartha Kitt leather. Okay. So this is on my radar, especially for fall and winter. Do I need it? Mm-mm-mm-mm. Did it capture my heart? Yeah. Okay. Gin tonic, G tonic, gin in tonic, whatever, from Micallef, M. Micallef. No, I don't think this is a mass appealing fragrance. However, this was a very refreshing, with an exclamation point, fragrance for me. I feel like I got some clear liquor types of notes in this fragrance, lime or bergamot or one of those kind of tart citrus types of notes. Mint, a mint sprig, like you would put in a drink, got some of that too. And musk with a spicy kick is how I would describe this. This was long lasting in my opinion all around. I don't think this is my scent profile. The ones that I have that come near that, I'm very happy with. But if you're in the neighborhood for a white booze, because white booze and like brown booze or amber colored boozes, they just have different vibes to them. Think about gin, or think of, well, gin doesn't really have a smell, but that's another conversation. Think about like a gin tonic. Oh my gosh, that's the name of the fragrance. Or your white rums, or even vodka doesn't have a smell, but when you mix vodka into drinks, the overall smell that you get from the beverage, the mixed beverage, gives me a lot of that. It's a really refreshing one for summer. I thought it was slightly masculine. Well, maybe a little bit more than slight. Fun and fresh, but not for me. You might be interested in that though. I give it a thumbs up if that's your scent profile, okay? Then I did a quick review of some of the gritty fragrances in this video. We'll also link that below for you. But, and you know, in that video, I forgot to talk about trying Duquesa, which I've talked about in other videos like this. Really nice fragrance, not the longest lasting, so that was my problem with it. So I tried Pomelo Sorrento on advice from some of you. Yes, I do think this is a mass appealing fragrance. This was, you have to be a grapefruit fan. This is grapefruit tartness. Grapefruit tartness. That's what I got mostly out of it, and it was happy. It was a soft and easygoing tart citrus. It had a little bit of like a tea effect on it, like drinking tea. And I found this nice all around. However, like the other experiences that I've had with this house, it was soft and it felt like it got muted in terms of its vibrancy after about 20 minutes or so. So I'm going to say no to this fragrance. I have some other pomelo / grapefruit / tart citrus fragrances that I'm enjoying. But it's a nice citrus if you're in the neighborhood for this type of fragrance. And I love the bottles from this house. Then Stefan Humbert Lucas Unui Adoha. No, this is not a mass appealing fragrance. So this one opens pungent, like, if you've tried some of the more challenging amouage fragrances for ladies and for men, I guess, I haven't tried those, but the ladies ones, not the usual lovable ones like Love Tuberose, but the ones that have like the amouage uniqueness to them, and they open like, whoa, you know, even Guidance, for example, is like on the opening. This one was very, very pungent. It came across like really heavy, deep, almost plum like the fruit plummy sweetness. However, this one dries to what I would call a semi-sweet, drier, sexy tobacco with this odd hint, a really interesting hint of fennel and like a licorice note in it. This was unique. Okay, I haven't smelled anything like this. This was long lasting all around. Would I be interested? I'm going to say yes. I found this sexy and very alluring. The fragrances that I've tried from Stefan Humbert Lucas so far have really been, if nothing else, alluring and intriguing, even if they're too strong or pungent, sort of for the mainstream. I've been interested in them. So I'd like to try more from this house, but this is on the yes list, y'all. Next, we go to Love and Crime from Ex Idolo, which I was told was kind of like Lyra from Xerjoff on steroids. I recently purchased Lyra because I finished the Alexandria dupe of it, which is called, what in the world is it called? Sweet Caramel? I'm forgetting the name of the Alexandria one, but I finished that and wanted to get the full bottle of Lyra, which I did. So yes, this is actually Lyra on steroids. It's very true. It doesn't veer into obnoxious territory for me, which I appreciated about Love and Crime. So it has that sort of sweet lemon thing going on. It's wearable and it's strong. I found it moderate to long lasting. I feel like I don't need a bottle because I have Lyra. However, if I didn't have that, this would be a fragrance that I would seriously consider picking up. Really, really good. I tried from Profumum Acqua e Zucchero. Zucchero, Acqua e Zucchero. Is this mass appealing? I would say it has a very easy style to it that a lot of people would like. I gotta tell you, I got a lot of Aquilina pink sugar in this fragrance without maybe the obnoxious sort of synthetic plasticky tones that pink sugar has. This was light though, light in texture, sat really sort of softly on the skin. And for the price tag on this, I'm not sure that I want to go for this because it is really simplistic, okay? You might as well just get Aquilina pink sugar and spritz lightly. Don't spritz heavily on that, and you'll get the same effect in the air. Hey, if you've got some money to burn and you want to smell like a version, a little bit higher, refined version of Aquilina pink sugar, go for this. I think for me right now, it's a pass. Now, if I end up trying it again and falling in love with it, I may consider it. I didn't dislike it. I thought it was fine. I will say though, this is the kind of scent profile that at least for me, this one smells synthetic too, by the way. I just feel like the one in pink sugar is even more synthetic. This is the kind of scent profile that after a while would feel a little bit bothersome on me to the point where I would just get tired of it. So I'll leave that at that. Narcotica, Narco Oasis. Who has this been getting some love on Instagram and on YouTube? And I know on TikTok from what people say. So this is a maybe in terms of being mass appealing. I feel like for this fragrance, what my experience was tart grapefruit with sugar sprinkled on top. Have you cut a grapefruit in half, sat it down and sprinkled with sugar, and the smell that wafts up. You get the tartness and the sweetness at the same time. But I will say over the life of this fragrance, it stayed a little too tart for my taste specifically. It definitely was giving me this tropical fruit drink type of vibe. Okay. And that's a scent profile that I think can get annoying quickly. So I didn't love the sampling experience. I didn't dislike it. I could really see how people love this. I have like that super fruity thing going on in Almaz from Kajal and other fragrances like that. This was long lasting all around. It just didn't quit. So for me, this is a big no, only because it stayed too tart. I need something sweeter in my fragrances. This was like a glass of straight grapefruit juice with some blood orange mixed in to make a tropical drink without any of the sort of creaminess, without any of the thickness that you might get in, for example, a pina colada or something like that. So yeah, this is going to be a no for me. However, if you like tart, fruity fragrances, check this one out, okay? Then we go to Unui Nomad Sugar Leather. Love that name. Like, what an interesting contrast between the sweetness of sugar and the of the leather. This is maybe in terms of mass appeal. Words that came to mind as I sampled this: deep, ambery, sticky resins, false spices. This was really, really good. This was long lasting all around. For me, this fragrance is a no, but let me explain why. Because it is awesome. This is a good fragrance. It is as people describe it. I have Oajan from Parfums de Marly. I have Angel Share. I have a few others that scratch that type of itch. And I feel like Sugar Leather is like that, except a little added edginess. So it really depends. If you want that extra edginess, try out Sugar Leather. In fact, it almost reminds me identically of Kaltat Night from the Attar collection, which I have since sold off because I have others that smell like it. So this is good. And if you wanted to buy it, I would say go for it. I don't necessarily need a bottle because I have others like it. I tried a new brand for me. I've never tried this brand, Private Candy. And the fragrance that I chose was Cotton Candy. Yes, this is a mass appealing fragrance. On the top, I get a blast of this caramel cotton candy for about 5 to 10 seconds right there in the opening. It's really good. You spray it and you're like, ooh, this is going to be a winner. Then it becomes a largely caramel and vanilla fragrance after that with a little hint of creamy coconut. It gets soft and close to the skin really quickly. And it had moderate longevity all around, but again, stayed very, very close to the skin. So I'm going to say no to this fragrance. I recently purchased Omnia Profumi Madera, which is this lovely caramel forward fragrance that I think gives me what I was hoping to get from, or rather what I did get from Cotton Candy, because I was expecting from the name Cotton Candy that it would stay light and fun and wispy. And it did, but more so in like the caramel vanilla direction than in the cotton candy, sweet, airy spun type of thing. So I'll stick with Madeira in terms of being focused on caramel. The last one is one that was recommended by several of you viewers. Thank you for all of your suggestions. I really do go check them out on Fragrantica and other review places. By the way, if you ever get tired of Fragrantica, because I can get tired of Fragrantica sometimes. There are like literal tomes on there. It's like someone set out to write the Odyssey except in perfume form. It just, did you like the fragrance? If you write reviews on Fragrantica, can you tell us whether you liked the fragrance, whether you would advise that we buy it, and then just give us a couple of notes about it, y'all. We really don't need an entire long college admissions essay on your fragrance experience. If you want a few other places, you can try Parfumo.com, you can try BaseNotes.com, and I'm forgetting some other places, but I know you know of others, so drop them in the comments so our friends can get some varied point of views. The last one here is called Musk Palace from Javoy. I have Fire at Will and I have Remember Me also. Love both of those very much. Musk Palace, in terms of mass appeal, I would say it's a maybe. This is definitely a musk fragrance. It features for me iris and some sweetness. There's tonka bean and there's peach in the fragrance. And overall, this was something that I would probably want to get a 5 milliliter or 10 milliliter of to really test out to see if I enjoy it. I thought it was nice. This was overall a softer, more subtle scent, although it had some presence and it definitely had moderate longevity. For right now, it's a no, although I'd like to test this further. I did think this fragrance was really lovely. I appreciate that the musk had a sweetness in the fragrance for what it is as a profile. The fact that it's musk and iris, sometimes those two things together can come across a little bit cold and distant in this fragrance because of the other notes, the tonka, the peach, and whatever else it has in it. It felt like a very approachable, warm fragrance in some ways, not like a sweater weather type of scent, but it just had this like comfort and familiarity that I would like to get to know more. So that brings me to the end of the video. Would love to hear your thoughts on these fragrances. If you've tried them, did you have a different experience? Tell our friends. We're eager to hear from you. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. See you in the next video.